This week the Torah tells us about an argument, a costly argument. If the Torah mentions an argument, then it must be an argument about beliefs, because we wouldn't care about any other argument. Like, what do we care if something happened where somebody was unhappy with something? Makes no difference to us. That's history. But when people are arguing about beliefs, that makes a big difference to us. Because what we believe is what designs our experience. What we believe is what gives us access to the world, to our body, to our mind, to our spirit, to everything that's available to us. If we have the wrong beliefs, we can lose access to everything. And so Korach has an argument, and it's about belief. Korach says to Moshe Rabbeinu, to Moshe and Aharon, who gives you the right to come and rule over the people, to make decisions, to decide who's going to serve in what positions? These are all holy people. And who's beating in their hearts? The Creator is beating in their hearts. The Creator is beating in every single heart. So what gives you the right? What makes you think that you can be more important than someone else? You worked on yourself? You see the world differently? You arrived at high levels? Good for you. That's the destiny that He chose for you. You stay in your lane. We have our own way. We see it our way. You're going to say what we're doing is less important than what you're doing? Who are you to decide? Somebody else created this. Somebody decided it needs to be this way. You're going to come and say that you're more special because you've arrived at some level. You can see, you can understand. That's good, that's nice, that's wonderful. But the other person was created by the same Creator. If somebody was to be at a higher level and see what you can't yet see, then he would look at you and it would seem like it's just a waste of time. Everybody's at the level that they were designed to be. Everybody's serving some part of the purpose. So it says, "Madua tisna so kal Hashem." Why do you feel that you're superior? If all creatures were created by the same Creator. So what he's saying something very powerful. He's saying something very real. He's not talking nonsense. Very big people were going with him on this. The situation was such in Klal Yisrael that people were confused. People didn't know who is right and who is wrong. But ultimately, Korach didn't realize a simple reality. Korach didn't realize that the Creator gave us our intelligence so that we can understand what is proper and what is the proper time when do we need to do certain things. Korach was an idealist. Korach was saying things that are true, but they weren't relevant at the time. Why weren't they relevant at the time? Because when Moshe Rabbeinu left for only a few hours too long, Klal Yisrael served the Egel. Klal Yisrael needed leadership. They weren't at a level of maturity where they don't need leadership. They weren't ready to be left alone. So he was challenging authority not because there was no need for it, but because it wasn't convenient for him. And to justify, he made arguments that are very real. They're based in reality, but they weren't his motivation. They weren't the cause of what was driving him to do what he's doing. And this is known by the one who designed us. He's the only one that knows what our intentions really are. And this is why Moshe Rabbeinu left it to the one who designed us to settle that argument, to prove who is right and who is wrong. It's because only he knows, only he can understand. Even if a person were to try to explain themselves as best as they can, it wouldn't give us any real insight into their heart. The heart can only be known by the one who dwells in that heart. And the one who dwells in that heart is not even conscious. It's beyond consciousness. Consciousness is what dwells in the brain. What dwells in the heart is what's driving consciousness. It's the reason why we think what we think and we do what we do. And that can only be known by the one who designed the hearts. But the Arizal says, Tzadik Katomar Yifrach. The last letters spell Korach. Because Korach was simply saying what was true, but saying it in the wrong time. It wasn't the reality at the time that Klal Yisrael can be without rulers. But there will be a time. That time is the time when Mashiach comes. When Mashiach comes, Klal Yisrael will no longer need teachers. They will no longer need explanation. They will no longer need guidance. All the explanation they need is going to rise from within them, because that's their nature. All the intelligence that's required is already inherent in the one that designed our organs. Who designed our organs? The being that dwells within us. The one who knows how to design organs, he knows everything that's required to keep those organs healthy. And those organs are not only interacting with our physical well-being, those organs are interacting with all the dimensions. And so the one who designed them knows how they work on all the dimensions. And so this is what it means. This is the reality. He wasn't saying a lie. Why do you feel superior? Nobody is superior. Moshe Rabbeinu didn't feel superior. He was the most humble of all people. What does it mean to be humble? He didn't feel superior at all. He didn't do what he was doing because he felt that he was superior to anyone. He was doing what he was doing because he felt that this is what's best. And he knew that he knows what's best better than others because they didn't care enough to find out for themselves what's really best. He cared. He designated everything that he had to figure out what's really best. And so Korach, because of his own interests, he was seeing everything from the wrong light. And so he wanted to realize the future early. And so therefore, he had to be taken out of the equation. He had to be kept for when his time comes. Tzadik Katamar Yifrach, he grows like a tree. He comes out of the ground when the time comes. When the time comes when people are really ready for what he was trying to sell. The Rizal says he's going to be a Kohen Gadol when Mashiach comes. He's going to be the high priest. He's going to be leading the charge that he wanted to lead prematurely. The charge that says, within each one dwells the divine. Nobody can be superior to anyone else. The divine creates what he creates and he does what he does, and we have to learn to respect that. We can't dictate what we think he prefers. And so Korach, although his timing was off, his beliefs were not wrong. This is why Rashi calls him a pikach. Korach was a pikach, meaning Korach knew the truth. Korach knew reality. But his intentions were not pure. And because his intentions were not pure, what he was doing was not right. What he was doing was undermining the authority that is required, the authority that is giving Klal Yisrael access to truth, so that they can eventually inherit what's rightfully theirs. So this intelligence that resides within us doesn't only evolve within each life, but it evolves over time. We've been evolving for thousands of years, since Klal Yisrael was in the desert. There are potentials in us that weren't available to them. They were much earlier in the game. We were a much more advanced model. But the information they had access to, the knowledge of how reality works that they had within their instincts, they knew intuitively. That's something that we have to rediscover. But when we do rediscover it, when we do develop it, when we do find our connection to the spirit that resides within, then that's the source of our power. That's the source of our knowledge. That's the source of our wisdom. That's the source of our interpretation. This is something that cannot be exported, cannot be outsourced. Beliefs are only real to the one believing them. And so beliefs is something that we have to create for ourselves. And this requires intelligence, this requires development. So may we have the merit to realize this intelligence within each one of us and collectively. May it happen soon.